Another thing, I know, I feel like sometimes every time I come to give you advice, is another thing you have to watch in your body. But this one is not so much fun. It's kind of shitty, no pun intended. I'm talking about poop, your gut, your gut microbiome. I know you hear about it, and I know there's a lot of noise about it. How you can improve your life, and it's one of the areas that is in its infancy, is being learned, and is complex as heck. Um, there is a variety of tests that you can go and get. Most of them have the same type of information. There are some that are more specific as to the type of bacteria based on their DNA, um, and it is a very complex um, series of tests also for markers of inflammation and other markers. Your microbiome, your intestine, is like a big city with trillions or billions of people, and every one of them have a function. And your bacteria, or the residents of that microbiome, change with the times, change with your habits, change with the temperature, and change with the food. They change also by location sometimes if you go to travel. So there's a lot of stuff to take into consideration, and it's extremely hard to control it just with one variable. So you have to think of it as a series of things that we do to try to optimize what we have. And because everybody's different, that's where the testing comes. And it's very sensitive because you don't want to do this in the moment you're sick or weak. You do it when you're feeling good to try to understand what is going on there at that time. And this testing that we do is going to be um, very overwhelming sometimes, because the presence of a bacteria does not mean an effect, does not equal to this is there, you will have these symptoms. It can change over time and depends on the growth and how active they are, because sometimes it's not the bacteria, but it's what they do or what they produce. We do know some pathogens, some things that should not be there, and that's one thing that we're looking for. And we know we want to have a variety. We don't want to have a very segregated type of bacteria. We want to have different. The more you have, the better the variety and the different things that happen. So we do a balance of a testing that will give you a bacteria population and the highlights of what's there the most and what they are, with the information we know about them and the information we know they can cause. And then we pair that with your symptoms and also with the byproducts or the markers that will tell us this is happening and these are active or not. And then we see what is missing, and we know that could be beneficial. And this is how we can come up with a plan of a combination of a diet that will enhance the good bacteria, kill or limit. Sometimes it's hard to eradicate the bad actors, and try to optimize the food that they need to thrive through diet, prebiotics, uh, or supplementing sometimes certain strains that are lacking in your system, and hope that they take. So we can provide them, but more important than that is provide the food sources so that they thrive. You will be surprised how much the gut microbiome changes with your uh, diet how much fiber, how much protein, animal sources, fat. And some people argue that there's not really a known repercussion of this, but we can't ignore it because when you correct it, you see benefits and you see improvement in other markers of cardiovascular health. It can be affecting even your brain, your cognition. So it's another thing we need to pay attention, not get obsessed with, and then make small, subtle changes sometimes. Sometimes they're more radical changes. If you don't eat any fiber, you need to incorporate some fiber. Um, but I wish there was a shotgun approach for this, but it's really not that easy. And like I said, the science is very early in the beginnings. We know it's getting stronger and more knowledge. So that said, be careful what you follow and do and hear and believe, because uh, just taking probiotics is not going to fix it. And also, when you go to probiotics, you got to make sure this is a reputable company, that you're getting actually the live bacteria with the counts that they're telling you, and not just an empty pill of dead bacteria that does nothing to you. How do you know that? You find reputable brands that actually have a control of their products, that they basically have, uh, checks and balances in them. And we know some of those companies. We research them, and we assure that this is the way it's supposed to be. Sorry, somebody was trying to park in front of me. Um, anyway, hopefully this helps. Um, but the message is, test your stool, test your microbiome, learn more about what's going on there, and see if there's, especially if you have any GI symptoms. But things like colon cancer can be changed, or the risk of colon cancer, by the bacteria that are there. And remember, this is not perfect science, but we have a lot of information that's been perfected and is already helpful enough that we can give recommendations. So test that.